This show is part of the Head Stuff Podcast Network.
This episode of The G-Spot is sponsored by Playblue, Ireland's favourite adult store. Playblue.ie has a huge selection of adult toys as well as some deadly deals. There really is something for everyone, no matter what bits you have or what you're into. Check out playblue.ie today. This week, my guest is many things. He's a content creator, he's the host of the Voicenote and Queeriosity, and also just an undeniably charismatic Cork man. It's Pádraig Wilson McCarthy, and I could have stayed chatting to him for days. I know you're going to love this episode. We cover so many topics and also have a few cackles along the way. Now, just a quick heads up, we do touch on body image in our second dilemma, including mentions of body image difficulties and disordered eating. Nothing hugely in depth, but there are a few references in there. So please do end the ep a little early if you feel that is the best choice for you. Please have a look at the ep description for support service details also. Take care and enjoy your visit to the G-Spot. When you were first asked to come on, how did you feel it being a sex and intimacy and relationship podcast? Was there any hesitancy, or were you
I'm an open book,
Okay, yeah.
I am an open book to a point, right? Yeah. But I'm also conscious that I'm a teacher and I'm like I don't know what they're going to be listening to.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Because
all they do is look up my name.
Yeah, fair.
But then I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, I think it's really important to talk about, first of all. And the more we're open with these things, the less taboo they become.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And it's interesting with the teacher thing, because yes, you are a teacher, but that is a separate part of your life.
Totally.
And there's such judgment, because I remember there was some real double standard going on. I think it was a few years ago where a teacher, I think it was in the UK, was fired, female teacher, for having an OnlyFans.
I remember hearing something about that.
Yeah, but then there was a male teacher who won sexiest teacher of the year or something like that,
yeah,
and he was topless on something,
me.
and that was fine.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because I was like, teachers have sex.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you have sex? Are you telling me to start an OnlyFans? Because I will.
You absolutely go for it. I'm
baby,
all for it.
Baby, you'd be my only fan.
I'm already a fan. No, yeah, look, whatever works.
Yeah.
You have to have a side hustle. But yeah,
totally. Especially teachers.
It's just interesting. Well, that's it. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because now I'm a bit different in that I'm not a teacher, but I worked as a sex educator for years, and that was in schools, with young people. And I suppose it was kind of easier for me because I'm already talking about sex. But, some people definitely misconstrue, they might look at my content for adults and think, oh, that's what she's teaching in school.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, we have to learn to differentiate them.
Totally.
Just because you're a teacher,
it's so important, particularly for secondary school. I'm in primary, so our education system in terms of sex education is quite different. I don't even know what they teach in secondary school. I hope they're teaching things that they should be teaching now.
Yeah, it has gotten better.
So I've heard.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there.
That's a whole story.
Yeah, I know. You could do a podcast on that alone.
No, I could, and I'd never shut up. I'd be insufferable.
Yeah.
So, did you get sex education in school yourself?
I'm just thinking about this today. I do remember getting the talk in primary school.
Right, and what did that?
Which consisted of a nun coming in out of costume.
Okay.
Right, and I never forget, because I don't know, I wasn't very streetwise, but I wasn't stupid either. So I knew, but by the time 6th class comes around, you know how babies are made.
Right, okay, fair enough.
And I just think, in hindsight, it was strictly to tell us how babies are made, and that is it. And I suppose that's very of the time, do you know?
Yeah.
And now, we don't bring in nuns anymore. It's up to us to do it. So I suppose in comparing that, there is a lot about anatomy and stuff like that I suppose we didn't really learn at the time, and we kind of just had to figure out for ourselves.
Yeah.
I kind of hit puberty at the time that the internet kind of became easily accessible.
Right, yeah.
So I think a lot of the stuff that I learned came from looking it up online or seeing things that, you know what I mean, online.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think on secondary school now. I don't know if we ever addressed it really in secondary school.
A lot of people I talked to didn't. They had the biology classes, but that's not sex I'm sorry, that's not sex education. That's reproduction, and that's great, and it's part of biology.
Yeah.
But,
But that's actually
bare bones.
Yeah, only that you said that now. That's the only thing that's in my mind, is that I remember doing reproduction, but I don't ever remember talking about sex as such. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which would have saved a lot of, I suppose, wonder and curiosity and having to look out for answers yourself anyway.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and even like I'm just thinking of myself, right? I didn't get sex education in school. It was like a puberty period talk thing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of this idea of then once you hit 17, 18 and everyone goes off to college, like it's like, oh, everyone knows what they're doing. They don't.
Oh my God,
I
no.
didn't know shit basically until like, I would say really it was nearly my mid-20s before I really had a grasp on things like consent and communication and boundaries, body image, even my cycle, which I know is well, it's not just for women, you know, but anyone born with a female anatomy. But even that, you know, the bare minimum we had.
Totally. I think here, especially in this country, it is something that we just, well, for our generations, we did not talk about at all. And like, I suppose as well, my parents are fairly cool, like, you know what I mean? But I still would be very reluctant to talk to them about it. Not so much now as before, but even when the sex scenes come on, you know, you know yourself, like it is.
I still can't cope with that. I don't know why.
My mom especially is as cool as a cucumber, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't even think I ever remember a time where she was like, "Don't watch," you know what I mean? Because we were never really in that like situation. But I think it was when Saltburn came out at Christmas time, and you know, everyone's like, "Oh," and I was burning up.
Did you watch that with your mum?
Yeah, burning. Of course it is.
Gosh.
Burning up, not realising what it was. I thought it was going to be a lovely gay story, to be honest. And she was cool as a fucking cucumber.
Yeah.
Not a bother. Do you know what I mean? And I suppose that's the way we should be, really.
Oh, definitely. Sometimes we're more mortified than
without
them.
a doubt.
Yeah. I think maybe it's our inner child, like our inner mortified child coming out. And it's kind of almost, if you're watching, you know, if there's a sex scene or whatever, it's nearly just, it's like the sex elephant in the room of like, oh, your parents are also sexual beings. And like they are, and rightly so, and good for them. But the
I like to think
of it,
that my parents did it twice only. Once for me and once for my sister, and that was it.
That's it, of course. It's so funny. Mom sometimes will describe someone as a hunk, and I don't know why, but it actually it ignites the teenager in me. I'm like, Mom,
I know.
Don't say that. And I'm like, let her say it, Grace. Like, get a life.
Mine, he's a fine half. That's what I get. He's a fine half. Like he is.
My mom said about my boyfriend once, it was so funny the way she said it. She's like, I hope you won't mind me saying this now. And I was like, what is she going to say? He's very nice to look at. And I was like, that's fine, Mom. Just don't, that's it now. That you said it now.
Babe. You share similar tastes.
It's so funny.
I know, it's so funny.
But just, I was like, what is she going to say? Okay, so you didn't really get a lot of sex education?
No, very little.
People.
I think it was like spread over 1 or 2 days, and it was like one of those things that you are told, we're doing this on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And you better be there, and if you're not there, you miss it. Yeah. Do you know?
And that's the thing, because sometimes, well, often we go out and we do, because I run a programme for schools now, and we'll be asked to do it all in one day. And we often do, because that's what teachers are working with, and they've limited schedule, like limited availability is made in the school day. But it is a lot of times to just unload 4 hours on these kids.
And that's what it tends to be.
Yeah.
It's built up
Better
to this
than nothing.
thing. Better than nothing, but it's built up to this thing. And then I think even when you just think of that like the art of doing it that way, it creates this thing where it's just like, let's just get it done and get it over and move on, whereas it should be something that's probably built in and done over a steady period of time so that it does become more normal. Yeah. And people are more open to talking about it.
Oh, definitely.
Do you know?
And from a young age as well, that like, again, you mightn't be talking about sex necessarily, but like sex education, actually it's funny because a lot of sex education isn't about sexual acts themselves.
No, not at all.
It's like empathy, it's checking in with your body. These things, again,
and it's even the vocabulary.
Yes.
You know, and we're trying to, we try to teach a lot of the vocabulary, even about like body parts, from the get-go, from the
so
very
important.
beginning. And it's so important that they can identify them, and people, like young children, can say that this is my whatever. And I can't even say it now,
my whatever.
You know, but even saying it, even saying those words is so important. And I suppose it's, we were only having this conversation recently, and we were saying, you know, what is the barrier to saying these words? And it's like, I suppose parents at home are calling them their tinky winky and stuff like that as well. Like,
and they're
you know
fairy,
I mean?
and they're lala, and they're Mary, is that thing?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, that's one way to desexualize like a fat part of the body.
Yeah,
Mary.
I know. My mom's name is Mary. Like, I can't compare the two things. I'm going to get sick.
Okay, so we'll move on from parents. This is getting very,
I know.
Okay.
It's like, when you're trying to say like serious in a moment, just imagine you're... Never mind.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I'm just thinking the other words as well. Like there's all, like sometimes I hear like the vulva being called the front bum, and I'm like, could you give it a rest?
Just say what it is.
Could you actually give it a rest?
Do you know what I mean? And then it's never going to be a difficult word to say.
No, it's just a word. It's just anyway, it just creates this whole kind of mystery and shame.
That's exactly the word. It's shame that we shouldn't be saying these words. And it's almost seen like penis and vagina are bold words.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
They're not like, they're literally body parts.
No, they're just body parts.
We all have them.
Yeah, exactly. No, 100%. But I'm glad that we have more open-minded teachers like yourself, in schools. And definitely I think though the curriculums are moving in the right direction.
They are.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Okay, we're going to go into a little dilemma.
Fantastic. I love a dilemma.
Yes.
So I'm probably totally unqualified to even to comment, but I will give my best.
Well, it's funny because I don't know how many we've gone through now, and sometimes I'm like, I think we're making the writer more confused, because we'll be at the end of giving our answer and either the both of us will disagree or we'll give them 10 more things to think about.
Yeah.
But look.
Yeah, look, this is what we're here for.
You asked.
Yeah, you asked.
Whipping a pair of handcuffs out is probably one of the oldest sex tricks in the book, and there is a reason why they're still a staple in countless bedrooms today. Now, I know some of you are going to be having an absolute visceral reaction to the word handcuffs because you're thinking of the cheap metal, sometimes plasticky ones that cut into your skin and hurt your poor little wrists. Well, thankfully, those days are gone for me because I have levelled up to cuffs that are strong and sturdy but comfortable, great quality and great value, as I should really have them for the rest of my life. I'm talking padded interiors, vegan leather, nickel-free metal. They look fab, they feel great, they're the real deal. They're from a brand called Fetish Submissive, and you can get yours on playblue.ie. Just search vegan leather handcuffs and make sure you get your 10% off using discount code GRACE10. Enjoy! So this one is called Caught in a Crossroads. So the writer writes, I, male 31, have been with my partner for over 15 years now, and I've always thought that we were solid. We got together as teens, so we have only ever been with each other. And we are always the couple people openly admire and envy. We've been through it all together, good times, rough patches, you name it. I was even thinking of proposing to my girlfriend in the next few months, but, in capital letters, but then out of the blue, I got chatting to this girl at a friend's party and something inside me has changed. We know where this is going, I think. We started talking. Before I knew it, we were following each other online and then began casually sliding into each other's DMs. Such a modern way of putting it.
Yeah, those DMs.
It is how it happens though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It has now gotten to the point where we message almost every day and it does get flirty at times. I feel so fucking bad, but it's like she's lit up a part of me I didn't even know existed. I can't stop thinking about her. We have arranged to meet up for coffee, which is in inverted commas, a few times, but I've backed out last minute each time. I don't know how much longer she'll be interested in me if things don't get a move on. To say that I'm torn is an understatement, and this is the dilemma part, I suppose. I feel incredibly guilty because I'm still with my partner, who's been nothing but amazing to me, but at the same time, I can't ignore this insane connection I have with this new person. It's like I'm stuck at a fork in the road. I've no idea which way to go, and I'm agonising over what to do. And I feel too paralysed to make a decision, which isn't fair on either woman. I never thought I'd be in this mess. I never thought I'd be that guy. I thought I'd everything figured out. Now I'm questioning everything. How do I deal with all these mixed up emotions without fucking everything up? I don't want to hurt my partner, but I also don't want to ignore what could be real happiness.
Oh, that's deep,
really heavy one to get us started.
Heavy. That's heavy.
Initial feelings when you're listening to that. Who are you empathizing with more automatically in that dilemma?
I would always be on the other person's side, and I obviously immediately feel really sorry for this guy's partner.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. But
the way it's written, it's hard to demonise them, isn't it, really?
Yeah, of course.
Because they're identifying that, first of all, I feel this sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
They've obviously been tempted to, and there has been, times where they've almost met up or I suppose met with this new person. They haven't done that yet. They haven't done, I suppose they're identifying that they feel this way.
Yeah.
Which is probably the most important thing, first of all, before they act upon anything.
Acknowledge it, yeah.
It's difficult because how long did he say they're together?
15 years. They've only ever been with each other.
See, that's the thing, right? And I suppose when you're 15 and 16, you're so young to get together. 15, 16, 17, whatever age
I don't know what. Oh, yeah, sorry. So he's 31.
So
Quick maths.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank God we have a teacher here.
No, get the calculator for that one. But there's a part of your 20s and even into your 30s where like you're still exploring, do you know? And curiosity is going to kill the cat, isn't it, really? Pardon the pun, like. So, like, I mean, it is difficult. It is difficult for him, like, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I do feel sorry for the partner, especially if she's oblivious to this.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know?
No one wants to be that.
No.
There's no what's the word, like easy way kind of through this, really.
And it would be very easy for him to just jump ship straight away, but obviously he's really evaluating what he actually wants.
Yeah.
Now it's also important to remember the grass isn't always greener.
Well, that's it. I think that's the thing here when I talk about kind of even affairs or people being tempted, like they do happen. And look, sometimes people do leave their partner for another partner and they end up being together years and to them it was the right decision. Sometimes I don't know what the stats are, but often it doesn't end like that. And maybe it speaks to, like, he's like, I always thought we were solid, kind of everyone admires and envies us. And, they've been through rough patches, good times, all of that. But, like, there's obviously some doubt there. There has to be
they're together for 15 years, and I know he's only 31, which is still young.
Yeah.
But he hasn't proposed yet. He's talking about doing it.
Yeah.
What's preventing him from doing it up until now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, has that niggling doubt always been there for him? And is that what's and there's a thing as well about being comfortable.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
safe.
It sounds like a very safe relationship.
Yeah.
And it sounds like on paper it's everything that people would want.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But like if you can't fight that there's a desire there.
Yes.
It's not fair on yourself actually, but it's definitely not fair on your partner either.
No, it's not.
Do you know what I mean?
And he has said like it isn't fair on either woman, and it isn't. Like there has to be some kind of decision, some kind of movement.
Totally.
He did sound, just picking up on the language there, I've highlighted it. She's lit up a part of me I didn't even know existed. So that came out to me as like, the way when we think of the beginning of a relationship, it's the honeymoon phase. It's like being on drugs, literally. When they study the brain, it is. That part, I don't know. Is he using kind of dramatic language because he really likes her, or is it genuinely that he's never felt this way even about his own partner?
Yeah. Well, that's why I would have read it, because if it's lit up something that I didn't even know what was in me, he's obviously never experienced this feeling before. Yeah,
that's his words. Again, we're working off.
Again, it's that thing of, is it love or is it lust?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there is an excitement and there is a, what if. I'm someone who like, I probably shouldn't, but I always play it safe anyway in all areas of my life. And I'm kind of like, I'd be like, I'd really want to be sure that this new partner is because you could very easily end up being on your own, but also with a bad reputation. I'm assuming at this point that he is very intertwined with her family, as is she with hers.
15 years.
15 years and friends. They probably have the same friendship group.
Yeah.
So like risking that is huge.
Yeah.
Is huge.
It is.
But then at the same time, I think it boils down to, if it's not what you want and you're not happy, well then you can't, it can only go on for a certain amount of time.
No, I agree. Oh, it's a really tricky one. And it's not something we can't be like, break up with your partner.
No, I have no intention of telling them what to do.
No, exactly.
I would
totally
not be
defeats
responsible for this.
I know. No, I'm the same. And because ultimately, obviously, he does have to decide. How do
you even go about, you know what I mean, making that decision? Especially when you can't be like, right, I'll give the other one a go.
Yeah.
I'll give her a go. We'll see how we get on.
Yeah.
Because you can't do that. Do you know what I mean?
This is a bit of a controversial one, but I wonder what you think of this. I always said, and I've actually said to my partner, and now I'm very upfront, I'm very blunt, I'm like, if you ever are tempted, will you please just come and tell me you're tempted before you do the thing? Yeah. Because I would rather be having the conversation of, okay, your head is being turned, there's something maybe not fulfilling about this relationship, rather than you ask me for forgiveness because you've done something. Yeah. Thankfully, I've never had the inkling that anything like that has happened. But could he go to his partner and actually just lay it out and be like, look, this is going to be a horrendous conversation, but I want to be honest. And I have been texting, essentially, because they haven't met up, have they? Yeah.
I've been texting this person.
Like, that's an incredibly, like, emotionally mature way to deal with it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it is. And, like, if everyone could just do that, I mean, there probably we would resolve these issues straight away. I mean, I would love to say that he could go and do that.
Yeah.
But what's the reaction going to be?
Oh, I'd lose my mind.
I mean?
Well, initially,
I'd chop his balls off.
I would genuinely collapse. But I think...
But you'd have to admire him in a way.
There'd have to be a sense of, okay, like, this is fucking horrendous.
Yeah.
But you have come and told me instead of doing the thing.
Yeah.
Because think of how exciting the thought of doing that is.
Without a doubt.
I'm just being real.
Yeah,
like,
without
this
a
is why
doubt.
people,
and, like,
you know...
come here. I don't care how fucking in love people are.
Yeah.
We can all admire other people.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
exactly.
And we can all,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry now, if, I don't know, Chris Hemsworth came across my path of life, I mean, I don't care who I'm with. They're gone, like, you know what I mean? So I get it, you know what I mean? And like, we're human at the end of the day. We have these innate feelings in us. It's kind of normal, but I hope, like, that's not just what he has.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know. And, like, he doesn't know that. Like, often, you know, when we think we're falling for someone, sorry, I don't mean this in a patronising way, but when, in his situation, what he could be excited by is the idea of
Without a
this
doubt.
woman. And we're all best foot forward when we barely know someone, and
Without
the
a doubt.
mystery, and it's all very sexy, and, you know, it's all unknown, and it's forbidden fruit, and it's all that plays into it. That's why it's such a huge fantasy. People have loads of fantasies about cheating and whatnot, or even just, but, you know, his partner isn't just an idea. Like,
no.
She is someone he has a life with. But then he says at the end, sorry, I'm hopping now, but he said the very last sentence was, you know, I don't want to hurt my partner, but I also don't want to ignore what could be real happiness.
But
the way he said
again,
that.
suggesting as well, like, it's the language that he's using. The language actually that he's using is kind of suggesting that he's already made the decision. He just doesn't know how to break up.
Yeah.
Do you know what
This
I mean?
has happened with another one of our dilemmas where my lovely guest was like, I think she's made up her mind, but
like,
she needs permission.
It's kind of like he knows exactly how he feels. And I suppose in a way, he's probably standing at the edge of the cliff now being like, I know what I want, but I can't make that step yet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Because what he could do, and what can help is, and it will involve that really horrendous, honest conversation, but to bash this out a bit with a therapist, a couples therapist.
Well, that's what I was going to say a while ago, because I don't know how you feel about couples therapy and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah,
you know
I like.
Because if it's worth fighting for, well, then maybe that's something that you need to address first of all.
Well, that's it.
Do you know?
Yeah, I think
the girl on the side, the other girl.
Yeah.
She's not going to be waiting around for him to go to therapy.
Well,
like.
that's... Oh, well, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But that's the thing is, I know, see, that's the thing. I'm not sure, is it really about this new woman, or is it about
in general
wanting to be free, wanting to be desired, wanting to feel...
And hey, look, when you get to the age of 30, 31, and you know your next step is going to be to get engaged, and you've never had that, you're probably looking at your friends around you, have done all the casual stuff, who have, you know, gone on those holidays, and they've not been in relationships, so they've been able to do all that exploring, and you're probably thinking, okay, I'm probably never going to have this now. There is going to be a massive part of FOMO.
Yeah,
isn't there?
Definitely.
You're going to have FOMO, but also you have to remember that you've had all of this lovely time with somebody, you've built up this like massive connection, you've created, you know, friends and family together, you know, you're all going to have all this long lasting thing as well. So it's two sides to the coin, really, isn't there?
There definitely is.
But I do know, like, that when you've got that inkling, it's very hard to shake it. It's like the ick, isn't it? Once you get the ick, you can't really shake it.
Yeah. It just grows and grows. But, like, that's why, you know, and it's good that he wrote this, but to talk about it, if not with her, with someone safe.
Yeah.
So it's not just like... Could
he go somewhere? What is... Because I've never gone to couples therapy or went to therapy about something like this. What is... Like, is it standard that you might go to therapy to speak to somebody without your partner knowing?
Oh, you can. Yeah, I get that all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
not necessarily regarding this, but, like, I wouldn't be surprised if this came up.
It
has come up, actually.
If he was to do something like that, I mean, that would be incredibly responsible of him. And if he decided then, actually, maybe this is the way I want to go.
Yeah.
Well, then he can't be blamed for it, really.
Yeah.
People would, like, this is the thing as well. I'm not going to deter him. People will always have an opinion.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you were probably going to be painted to be a bad guy in the situation. But if you truly seek happiness and you get that happiness, well, then in a couple of years down the time, people are going to just have to be like, well, he seems happier.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And it's better if the relationship does end. it's better it ends now than before you
I
propose and the whole lot.
100%. Can you imagine?
Yeah, it just gets
it's
messier,
way more
doesn't
messier.
it? Yeah,
Do you know, way more messy.
Yeah.
And like knowing, because I've got loads of girlfriends, right? They're all waiting for the ring. She's probably like, what? They're all waiting for the ring. So like, she's probably like, where the fuck's the ring?
I know.
She's probably waiting for it, you know?
Well, I was going to say, I wonder, has this ever happened with her? Not necessarily in the same way, but has she ever been tempted? Has she ever
Well, this
felt...
is the thing. We're only hearing one side of the story. Of course,
yeah, because... And it's going back to, you know, they've been together... So they've only been with each other. And I'm absolutely not saying that's a bad thing. And actually, one guest again I had on actually talked openly about this, that she's only had one sexual partner and that the grass is kind of always greener. And she's like, did I miss out on some stuff? Maybe, maybe not. Yeah. Like, I know personally for me... Oh my God, that those years were so important for me. I know, I just know because it's me, it's who I am. I'm a very, very curious person and very sexual person as well. So I think if I had just ever been with one person, it would kill me. The curiosity would just kill me. I'd have to have a go. I was about to say. Mom said I did lots of shopping around. That's the way she put it when I was younger. And I was like, I did. But like, it was great. But
you know what you want as well then, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like shopping for a car, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awful.
Do you know what I mean? Take it for a test drive.
Who are we objecting? What object are we using to object for them?
I know.
No, but are you in the same boat, or do you feel that you could have had, if you met someone at 18 that like... I suppose it depends, doesn't it?
It depends completely on the person.
Or 15
you know what I mean?
even, yeah.
And I suppose because I was gay as well.
Yeah.
I was gay.
You were.
And now I'm not.
Go on, have you an exclusive?
Shocker. No, I don't. Because I suppose when I was 17 and 18, like I wasn't out. So for me, like I didn't really probably come into, you know, exploring relationships and stuff until I was in my early 20s anyway. Do you know what I mean? So it was a little bit different for me.
Yeah.
Had I met someone and, you know, I'd stay, I would have thought that I would stay with them forever.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
If that's the way it was meant to be, but if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. You know, that kind of way. I'm kind of just like, I'm very much like, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Like things work out the way they work out.
Everything happens for a reason. But that doesn't mean that this might have been this fucker at all. This poor fella.
As I'd say, it's finding the balance, I think, between, yes, everything happens the way it's going to happen. What's for you won't pass you. I do like that kind of language, but also then you have to be in the driver's seat a bit as well, don't you? And like,
because like, you could look at this in two ways, couldn't you, as well? You could be saying, well, this has come now and I don't want to leave that go past me, so I'm just going to jump and grab it with two hands. I don't know. I don't envy him at all.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I really don't.
Yeah, look, so we don't have a straight answer.
No, we don't.
You know, to the questions at the end were, how do I deal with all these mixed up emotions without fucking everything up? You have to just...
Well, I think what you said, we're going to speak to someone in confidence. And like also, there has to be somebody in this guy's life, like a friend who would be able to say, who you could sit down confidently and speak to and say, look, this is how I'm feeling. And they can, if they know you as a person as well, they're going to be able to give you very good advice.
Yes. Yeah,
you know?
That's a really good
especially,
point.
especially as someone from the outside who knows you and your partner, who can see your relationship. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes someone could be together for 15 years and your friends could be saying like they're the worst couple that you know what I mean, compared to people who are together 2 years.
And what I would say with that is, I won't do a do, but I'll do a don't. Do not do the thing where you break up with the girlfriend and then pretend that you just met this woman a few months later. It will come out.
Yeah, of course
just
it will.
Be
of
honest.
Course it will.
Like, the whole thing is really, really awful. But like, don't do that.
No.
I hate that.
Without a doubt. Now, but there's also a way of doing it respectfectly. You know what I mean?
Of course
We're not throwing it down anyone's
Yeah.
face or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, the odds be ever in your favour.
I love that.
I know.
Complete side question. We're always the couple people openly admire and envy. Are there any couples you can think of, not in your personal life, obviously, imagine you're like, well, Jack and whatever, but in celebrities that you think they're couple goals, everyone thinks they're couple goals, but you secretly think, I wonder.
That's a good question.
Have you ever had...
like Beyoncé and Jay-Z.
I was just about to say that. I was like, what's their story?
Yeah, I don't know what the story there is. I often wonder about them because, like,
she got with him really young.
She
as
did,
well.
and also like it's almost as if it's a marriage of convenience in a way. Like they complement each other professionally before I think they do personally.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Business,
totally. Like she's so talented. He's incredibly talented. Like he's a producer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I suppose she runs such a tight ship anyway. We'll never know. Apparently, like open marriages are extremely commonplace in Hollywood.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised. And I think actually that's something that we're starting to see filter into society more. Yeah. And while I don't know where I sit on them personally, I don't judge them at all.
No.
Because I can see why they would work. Yeah. Especially if both people are 100% into it.
Of course. Yeah.
It makes total sense, actually. I was recently watching something, Celebrity Big Brother, and I don't know when this is coming out now, but whatever. But it was on Celebrity Big Brother, and they were having this conversation about open relationships, and it got me thinking about it. And someone was saying, they were saying, look, it was easy. She was like, I'm not at all open, like at all. It's not for me. But I would love to have 2 threesomes a year with my husband, and it would be my birthday and his birthday. And
so specific. Yeah, I love it.
And then someone was like, "Well, that's open though," and she's like, "No, it's not though." And she almost got really defensive, and I think it's because it was called open.
Yeah,
it was called open, but like. Whatever she saw it as, it wasn't open and it was fine. Yeah. But as soon as it was labelled as open, then it was like she completely cut off as if this word was a bad word again, like we spoke about earlier. Yeah. So it's funny,
Yeah,
and I
the assumptions.
I suppose maybe I'm not as shocked, and this is awful, but it's really common in the gay community.
Oh, it is.
It's so common.
Yeah.
And I see it all the time, and I know people who are, and it works. It works for them, and they love it. Yeah. And they have a great time.
Yeah, and it's so unique to each couple.
Without a doubt, and they've their own. You set your own rules. Yeah. There's no book. There's no way to go about it. It's like you set your own rules, and I admire these people for it because they're really comfortable actually. Doing it that way, some of them are the strongest couples that I know.
No, absolutely, and it depends how it's done and all of that. And I like to say now, because I'm just not a forever person. My brain can't the concept of forever. So I'm always like, if we're talking about this, I'll be like, oh no, we don't have an open relationship currently. Yeah, and it's not that we're planning to, but it's just I just like to say currently, because just that anyone can change their mind about anything in life.
Totally,
and I think we just need to
totally, and I think. Again, it's one of those things that the more you see around us, the more representation, I suppose, there is for it, if that's the right word. Yeah. The more people are going to be like, that's interesting. Do you know? So 10 years down the line, it could be way more common than we think it's going to be. It
could be. And I think people, again, kind of freak out over it. But you never have to do it.
No.
I'm telling you at home now.
This is it.
It's not for everyone. It's not for me right now. Yeah. I don't know will it ever be for me. And that's fine.
Totally.
That's fine. So anyway, maybe this person will open up their relationship. You never know. Sometimes, actually, funny enough, open relationships do start from some kind of infidelity or affair, because they don't want to give up on each other, but there's something that they're really not fulfilled with. Yeah. And that's something they explore.
And I think as well, you can separate, sometimes you can separate the sex and emotion. In the sense that you can be really excited by this, sexual experience, but only be in love with this person, and that's totally fine too.
Yeah. And some people can do that.
And I know they're very closely linked, but you can't keep them separate as well.
Yeah, and because I've talked to people who they're like, no, I can't even do casual sex. I need to have an emotional connection with someone.
I get that. I get a hug and I'm like, oh my God, when is he going to propose?
Where's the ring? Waiting for the rock. Okay, so we haven't answered it all, but it's fine because he needs to answer it himself, because it is honestly, there's no, it's, as we said, timeless dilemma, no straight answer.
And there's loads of food for thought there now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
He's like, oh my God, why did I say anything? Next dilemma, which I think will be really interesting to get your insight on. It's about body image blues. Okay. So, hi, Grace, Alice, and we'll say Pádraig. I'm a 25-year-old guy, straight, and I've been in a relationship with my girlfriend for just over a year. Everything between us is great, except for one thing. I can't shake these body image issues whenever we get intimate. I've never been the most confident guy when it comes to my body, but it's gotten worse since we started dating. I can't help but compare myself to those chiseled guys you see in movies or on social media, and let's just say I don't exactly measure up. I've always been on the skinny side. Imagine girls saying that. I've always been on the skinny
I know.
side.
Isn't it funny the way the two different minds work?
Absolutely. We'll come back to that. Every time my girlfriend compliments me or tries to initiate something, I freeze up. I worry that she's comparing me in her head to other men she's been with or other men she fancies. She's commented on how hot she thinks certain celebs are, and each one of them is much bigger and bulkier than me. So when she compliments me, I can't help but think, oh, she's just saying that. I also worry that she'll notice all the flaws I see in myself and find my insecurity unattractive, which I think is an interesting point. It's like I can't enjoy the moment because I'm so focused on trying to hide my insecurities and act confident and masculine. I do know my girlfriend loves me for who I am rather than just my body, but I can't seem to shake this feeling of inadequacy. How do I learn to feel better in my body and feel confident during sex? Is there a way of turning off these thoughts? I'm getting so frustrated with myself because I know I'm standing in my own way.
Oh, the poor fella.
And standing in your own way, I think that's such a... I think maybe he needs to be a little bit kinder to himself in that. Because, okay, there's a sprinkling of truth in that, yes, sometimes we do stand in our own way and our minds are... But there's a reason why he has these issues. They've been fed to him.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I sympathise with him actually because it's something that I've struggled with in the past. When I was growing up, especially when I was in my early 20s, I was quite overweight. And then I went on a weight loss journey and I lost weight. And while I feel much better and I'm way healthier, I never stopped struggling really with the whole body issue thing. So I kind of get where he's coming from. We are doomed in the sense that we are constantly on our phones and we're constantly being fed, fitness and I love going to the gym, so don't get me wrong, but we're constantly being fed like these fitness influencers and these are the workouts you should be doing and this is what you should be eating. And then all of these people that are feeding it to us look incredible. My first thing is we have to remember that, and I know we're getting away from the whole sex side of things, but for a second.
No, that's okay.
Is these people are paid.
Yes.
They're actually being paid to be in the gym all day.
Like, he said the social media, the celebrities.
Right? Yeah. They're being paid to look this way. They're paying, or else they're paying themselves to be in the gym all day, right? So it's very easy for us to compare. It's an unrealistic expectation, of what we should be looking at. And actually, from my own point of view, when I'm attracted to someone, it's not the ones that look like that.
No.
Oh, no. When I tell you, when I see one online.
Chris Hemsworth.
Like, oh my God, yeah. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. We obviously love, doing a bit of eye candy.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I get it. But I do recognise it as being unrealistic. And actually, if it boiled down to it, it wouldn't be something that I'd be not comfortable, that I'd be attracted to.
Yeah.
And part of it is because if I was standing next to it, I would feel uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? For this fella though, I'd say, first of all, confidence is sexy. Do you know what I mean? I think you can look in whatever way you want, but if you carry yourself a certain way, that's really sexy.
Yes.
And he does mention, that his girlfriend, he knows that his girlfriend is mad about him.
Yeah.
Like, she very, very likely can admire these people, but also can be very attracted to him.
Yeah, there's room for both.
Without a doubt. And we know that attraction doesn't stem from just looks.
No, it doesn't.
Do you know what I mean?
And if it does, it's boring.
No, without a doubt.
It's going to be so dull.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know what I mean? It only goes a certain way. And as well, I think probably what's happening here is his girlfriend probably doesn't even realise what she's doing or what she's saying is affecting him. But he just has to leave. He has to stop and get out of his own head.
Yeah.
There's loads of people that you can go to speak to about this as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, definitely. And we have to learn to believe someone when they compliment us. There's a real Irishness to that, isn't it? So if she's
brutal.
When she compliments me, I can't help but think, oh, she's just saying that. We're all guilty of it.
Yeah.
But imagine if we just believed all the compliments we got. Should we be delighted with ourselves?
And he sounds like he's absolutely besotted with her in a way, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that she would be with him if she wasn't deeply madly in love with him and attracted to him.
It's interesting, you said their confidence is sexy, which I agree with. And there is a difference between arrogance and confidence,
No, without a doubt.
And he's actually worried that she'll find his insecurity unattractive.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because on one hand, insecurity is like vulnerability.
Yeah.
And that's not unattractive.
No.
We all have insecurities.
Without a doubt.
But I think when people draw attention to them, I had an experience once, sorry, I shouldn't. He'll never listen to this, it's fine. It was a casual encounter and Sorry. So he was unbuttoning his pants. So we're really getting into it, right? Yeah. No erotic writing here now. I'm going to get straight to it. And like took out his penis, right? And for me, that's quite an intimate moment. It's the first time you're undressing. Yeah. And he just took it out and he goes, "It's no 7-incher."
And you said, "You better put it away."
And I was like,
"Then I don't want it."
I am very rarely speechless.
Yeah.
I was like, I have no idea what to say. And I don't know.
But that was that an instant turn off, really?
For me, yes.
Yeah, I get that.
He was a nice guy and he was very attractive and I hope he's doing great.
Yeah.
But that was like, if I took out my boobs, I was like, they're no double D's.
Yeah, totally get
And it's kind of like, I just like it
like
was.
It does the same thing. It does the same thing. Just use it in the correct way.
I didn't give a shit. Yeah. I really didn't. I mean that. Like I was like, oh,
I know.
Like, and it was a perfectly normal size as well.
Men always look at things bigger is better,
Absolutely.
But it's not the case.
No,
do you know what I mean?
No.
And you know what? One of the worst things in the world is porn.
Yes.
Because we look at this, like these people who are hand selected to appear in these movies.
Yeah, that's their job.
You know what I mean?
Again.
That's their job. Are the ones that get the most views because these people look this kind of way. Yeah. But like they are like 0.0001% of the population in this whole world.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And we're comparing ourselves to that. And it kind of stems back to the whole thing of like sex education, when you're not really educated when you're younger, and when you're 14 or 15 and you're starting to feel a certain way, or you're starting to feel sexual or that kind of thing, and you do explore and you do like don't tell me that if you're telling me that you aren't looking at porn, like, come on, do you know what I mean? We all did, because we all didn't know what to expect. We all didn't know what was going on. We'd never seen it before.
Yeah, we had to learn about sex.
You were told to avert your
somewhere.
gaze, exactly. So we are going to compare ourselves to that because we think that is what it is to be normal, but it's not at all.
No, of course it's not. And I always harping on about like being a good sexual partner, like having a good body. Number one, what does that even mean? But number two, that actually won't help you.
Without a doubt.
That will only take you so far. Again, that's so surface level. I mean, be proud of your body, absolutely be happy in it. But like being a good sexual partner, like with that guy now who's like, it's no 7. I'm like, I don't care how many inches you're packing. I'm like, can you communicate? Are you present with me?
I think it's so important to make the other, like it's knowing that it's a mutual experience, and that knowing that if the other person feels comfortable, well then they're going and they feel that they can perform to their best, you're going to have a better experience. But also if they're feeling comfortable, you're going to feel more comfortable as well. Because there's nothing worse than when someone else is on edge. It's going to feed off into that as well.
100%. With regards to her commenting on how hot she thinks certain celebrities are, now I'm not coming for her for this. I think often we do it without thinking about it. I'm not going to lie, I've had partners who used to be very vocal about what celebrities they were into, and sometimes I was like, that's fine, but I just don't really need to hear it.
You don't want to hear it.
Now, when we're sitting down for a film and you've said, oh, like, she's unreal, I'm like, okay, now for the whole film, I'm just going to be feeling like you're like, lusting after. Like, just do that in your head.
I totally get that. I totally get that. Yeah. And it's funny because, like, I live with gay people, and loads of my friends are gay, and we're all like, someone would send someone hot into the group chat, for example, and if I'm having a particularly good day, I'll be like, oh my god, yeah, stunning, amazing, god, he's fab, whatever. I follow, and then now I'm talking about celebrities, I'm not talking about people around Dublin. We're not sending in like Jack from down the road.
Don't ring the guards.
Don't ring the guards, right? But like, we'll say an influencer or someone from TikTok, whatever, and they'll be like, oh my god, he's gorgeous. But there are times where I will see the messages coming in and I'm like, I'm not opening it.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I do not need to know what this man looks like, because I know he's ripped to shreds.
Yeah.
And I don't need to know, because it's going to feed into me, and it's going to make myself feel really shit about how I look. So there is a part of me which has tried to start doing this thing where I'm trying to curate my own algorithm now.
Yeah, you're dead right.
And I think everyone should be doing it.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
And just unfollowing those people or liking more people that are with normal bodies.
Yeah.
That are doing those normal things.
Absolutely.
There's this one guy who doesn't have that typical body that everyone says is an amazing body. He does Get Ready With Me. Get Ready With Me. Whatever it is, and he started just owning his own skin, and like he's doing really well. I don't know who he is. I couldn't even tell you his name, but he's doing really well from it. And there's something about him like that's really confident, and just in his own skin, and he's so attractive.
Yeah, stunning.
He's so attractive.
Yeah, it is very
do you know?
sexy.
It is so sexy.
Yeah.
Do you know? But that it is a mindset thing, and I think body dysmorphia is huge.
Oh, God, yeah.
The gays are seeping in it.
Yeah.
Seeping in it.
Yeah, and I listened to your episode on your own podcast with PJ Kirby, and I was just a brilliant episode.
Yeah.
As someone, again, not a gay man, but as someone who's done the Weight Watchers and done the... I was calorie counting the berries in my G&T, like, on a night out.
But this is
we
it,
all have our horror stories.
We've all been there, and we grew up in a society where nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which makes my skin crawl, and the special K diet and all these things. And they're ingrained in our memory. Do you know? And I think about when we were younger, and those diets were always around. There's always someone in my house that was on Weight Watchers. And I look at my niece and nephew now, and how parenting has changed, but also how it's not, those things aren't spoken about anymore. And how I hope this newer young generation that are only being born now are going to grow up in a society where diet culture isn't a thing. Because I think we are fucked from it.
Oh my God, we're riddled with issues from it. Yeah.
Totally. And no one knew they were doing any harm.
No,
do you know?
But God, it was awful. Like that particular period was really bad. Can I ask a question? Actually, now this fella, I know he's straight, whatever, but something that's crossed my mind. So I'm a woman. I'm in a relationship with a man, and I don't compare my body to his, right? Because we've totally different bodies. You know, obviously I have more fat on my stomach because I have a womb, and it's not, whatever. Yeah. But even if he did have more fat, it wouldn't bother me. Yeah. But it's that kind of thing of, it's like comparing, I don't know, apples and oranges, whatever. Yeah. But within the gay community, I'd be interested, is it more or less of a thing because you're with someone who has this... Does that make sense?
Who could potentially have a similar physique.
Similar physique, but not similar.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely people who put that pressure on themselves, and I suppose it's whatever you're into. There could be someone who appears really fit, and they might be into people who might not be as fit as them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I suppose it depends on what your preference is, I suppose.
Yeah, no, of course,
But there is without a doubt a stress. Do you know what irks me the most about this is that there is a certain type of person within the community who will place value on you depending on how you look, and that drives me insane because it's like if you could be as fucking boring as anything, but if you're ripped to shreds, they want to hang out with you. And I'm like, sorry, no, that's not how I'm going to live my life. Do you know what I mean? But it can be incredibly superficial at times. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I look forward to the day where I get into a relationship and I can eat whatever I want, and that's fine.
That's it. Yeah. No, I totally
Absolutely.
get. Yeah,
there's no pressure,
Yeah. No, 100%.
Yeah. But it's definitely a thing without a doubt.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. And back to this guy. So I suppose, as you said, and I agree, we're riddled with body image issues, whether you're whatever gender you are, whatever body you have. Yeah. There's probably something that you have absorbed that, they come up with new insecurities every day. It's like, when you see something, and I remember seeing, oh God, what was it? It was some woman on about her flank. And I was like, I didn't even know I had a flank. And now I'm like, I have a big flank. Yeah. I think it's like the back of your... Okay. The back of your back. Yeah. The middle of your back. Yeah. And I was like, I didn't even know. I hadn't thought about my flank ever in my life. And now I'm thinking about it. So it's like these insecurities get unlocked. Like he needs to, because he deserves this, do a lot of unlearning, whether through therapy or, as you said, changing up your algorithm, changing what you're viewing. Yeah. Have a conversation with your girlfriend about maybe, if it really affects you, just maybe not commenting on this fella's really hot. She can say that to her girlfriends, whoever,
totally. And I think it's important to say as well, and I'm not diagnosing anybody with anything, that disorders come in all different shape and forms. And just because you're what you're consuming isn't affected by it, you're just the way you view yourself. Yeah, that can be seen as you might be suffering with a little bit of a disorder where you can go and get help, and there's loads of people there that help you. Just change that mindset because once you do, you're going to feel a whole lot better about yourself, and then this isn't going to be an issue anymore.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like with this dilemma, I'm like, I don't think this is really about sex.
No,
you know,
it's totally about his own perception of himself.
Yeah, and this is the case often with dilemmas. Is it might be sex might be where it's popping its head up, it's manifesting.
Without a doubt.
Is that the word? Yeah. But what was I going to say? I also have made a note here though that, you know, he'd ask how. Is there a way of turning off these thoughts? So I'm a huge believer in adopting mindfulness throughout our life.
Yeah.
Makes sex better.
Yeah.
And you transfer those skills into sex then. Because when you think about it, like, how do I turn these thoughts? If you're not turning off these thoughts in general, day to day, you can't expect your brain to just turn them off during sex.
No way.
So it's actually strengthening that mindfulness skill, and mindfulness isn't emptying your brain. It's not being this zen, I'm at peace. Yeah. Mindfulness is just an ongoing skill of, there's a thought. I'm dealing with that thought. It's now, you know, and the thought is passing.
Totally.
And bringing yourself back into your body.
Yeah, I agree.
Like he might even be dissociating here. We don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And I think as well, those comments that she makes with other people, if he can work on himself and work on his own self-confidence, well then, those comments aren't going to affect him anymore.
Yeah.
When you're insecure about something, and we're going to make those things are going to make that like explode.
Yeah.
From within, you know.
I had a few exes in my life where I talked about this on Instagram recently. I was like, you know, this whole thing of having a type.
Yeah.
I've mixed feelings about it, but I think some people use it as kind of, I don't know, some people are just, I think they're a bit off in the way they share this information. Anyway, I've had a few exes. Like I had one ex who was into really into redheads with like big bums, right? Another one was into petite blondes. Again. Okay. So I'm like, can I just genuinely find someone who likes like brunettes with big teeth and big boobs? I'm like, here I am. Am I such a like, you know, and I know probably I was projecting stuff, but it was this constant kind of narrative.
It's comparing,
of that.
and we do because we want to please, I suppose is probably the wrong word, but like fulfill.
Yeah.
Don't we? We want to be that missing jigsaw piece. And if someone's telling you that I'm into this and you're not that, then you're obviously going to have doubt.
Yeah. And it's one of the things one of millions of things that I really do love about my partner, Ivan. Like I remember asking him, do you have a type? I don't know why I asked him. I ask stupid questions I don't want to know the answer to.
Here, we hear it all the time. Things like Love Island, like what's your type on paper?
I know. And he literally said, he was like, I genuinely don't have a type. Like I don't. And then he was like, just you, like you're my my type right now. Like I don't think of it like that. And I was like, that's so refreshing, because as well we live in a society where, and I'm not trying to demonize porn, but like, you know, in porn, unless you're basically a white straight man, you are a category. You're either a black man, or you're a petite Asian woman, and there's all these racial things as well. And you know, or you're a busty redhead. You're categorized, and in the gay community as well, there is twink and bear and all this stuff, right?
Don't even go there.
Yeah,
it's totally true.
Has that ever happened to you, where someone had been very vocal about having a type, and you were like, hello?
Like that happens all the time. Like I've only had one ever serious relationship,
right?
And we got on really well, and it just, I suppose we got older and we drifted, I suppose, and then we called it a day, but we finished very amicably, and we're still very good friends.
Fab.
We even though we mightn't see each other all the time, we still have a very open communication because we have mutual friends. Mm-hmm. But aside from that, like there have been times where you'd go on a date. This is what drives me insane. You'd go on a date and they'd be like, oh, do you know this person? And you'd be like, oh yeah. And they'd be like, oh yeah, I shagged them before. And I'd be like, oh, okay.
Is that a thing?
Oh, you have no idea. It's like worn like a badge of honour, and it's the thing that drives me the most insane in the world is when you're out on a date with a guy and they're telling about who they've been with before. And they're like listing off these people. And like,
my face here is in horror. I'm like, why?
That's, oh my God. And this is so common. I've had this conversation with loads of my friends.
Right.
Because it happens all the time.
Okay.
And they're like, oh yeah, I've been with this person. Or do you all, because we, like the gays, especially up here in Dublin, we all follow each other on Instagram.
And it is a smaller pool of
community.
People,
so you've met most of them anyway. So it's very easy to go on. If you meet someone new, we'll say on Tinder or on Grindr or whatever, and see who the mutuals are and be like, oh, how do you know this person? How do you know that person? Oh, I was with them before, I was with that one before. And you know, I think this person's really hot. And you're like, well, I feel like fucking chopped liver now.
But what are you supposed to do with that? Genuinely, what are you supposed to do with that info?
All it would
are you supposed to like, well done?
Yeah, I think it's worn as a badge of honour. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, bitch, please.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, but then of course, because it is a small community, like everyone knows each other, and I understand, like
oh, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
I just don't need to hear about how hot they were.
Yeah, I don't get. Yeah, that's really interesting now.
That's a very common thing.
Yeah.
And I think anyone that's gay that's listening will be able to resonate with that.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to go question now all my gay friends. Like, is this a thing?
Yeah, it is totally a thing. And because I spoke about it with a very good friend of mine recently. We're both single and he'd gone on a date and I'd gone on a date recently and it was kind of the same thing. It was kind of like I was having a great time until this fucking conversation cropped up again about who we've shagged before. And I'm like, I just don't, you know what I mean? And it's something really disappointing, especially when you've got your hopes high and you're on the date and you're really enjoying yourself and then this conversation props up. It's a mood killer.
And do you ever feel able to just say, no offense, but I'm actually not interested in that information?
The thing about it is, right?
Yeah.
If I had been, if you're 2 or 3 dates in, I would be like, all right, come here. I don't really not into this, right? But if it's the first date, I'm kind of like, you know what? This is me done now anyway.
Yeah, this is a good filter of like, okay, maybe you're not.
This is me now knowing that I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
God, that's really interesting.
So if anyone wants to date me, you know how to do it. That's
Wouldn't that be a fun segment of the podcast? Just like a little matchmaking thing. No, that would be great. Thank you so much. This has been delightful.
I loved it. What a laugh, babe.
And as always, we confuse the dilemma writers more than ever, but it's fine. It's
That's
fine.
the story of my life. There's no straight road here.
No, but there isn't. And with these, really, there a lot of the time they are just looking for permission to do whatever it is or talk about it or even just get it off their chest.
And I get that.
And hear people talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if someone wants to date you, where can they find you? If someone wants to send you slutty little messages.
Yeah, my Instagram is Pádraig_WMC. I'm on X and I'm on TikTok as well, but mainly there. And also I've got my own podcast called The Voicenote, wherever you get your podcasts.
Does an X sound really like a porn site?
Yeah.
It really does.
Oh my God, it does actually.
I think it does. It looks like the black.
It does, yeah. And it's nothing of the sort.
No, even though you wouldn't know. It's Wild West on there, isn't it? Yeah.
You would never know.
All right, okay. Thank you
my
so
love.
much.
A huge thank you to Playblue, Ireland's favourite adult store, for sponsoring this episode of The G-Spot. You can browse through their impressive selection of toys, lingerie and lots more sexy essentials at playblue.ie.
This show is part of the Head Stuff Podcast Network, a hub for the creative and the curious. Shows are produced in association with Head Stuff and the Podcast Studios Dublin. Find out more or become a member at headstuffpodcasts.com.